just keeps going faster. 3, 2, 1, go!
So I got this mobility scooter chassis for 30 quid, and I'm going to mod it out to go as fast as physically possible. I'm aiming for something around 50 miles an hour, and this thing was only ever designed for a whopping 4 miles an hour. So before you ask, this is a pretty terrible idea, and I'll show you the full build process from upgrading the motor to installing a battery pack module from an electric vehicle, and of course we'll do some extreme testing and we'll see how fast we can get it without, you know, disintegrating. Now, as you can tell, there's not really much going on with this chassis. It's pretty stripped down, and the reasoning behind that is because this isn't the first time I've upgraded this thing. But because I'm planning on making it ludicrously fast this time, I've removed everything and we're starting from scratch. So I think this thing was built in the 90s and used to have a massive lead acid 24 volt battery under the seat. It also originally had a really weak 200 watt brushed motor at the back, which was connected to this gearbox. Now call me crazy, but I'm planning on still using this original gearbox in this thing, which truly is a terrible idea because it was only ever designed to go 4 miles an hour. It's also still got this old school throttle, which we're going to hack so that we can use it to control the speed of the upgraded motor that we're going to put in this thing. And something that's also really problematic is that this has absolutely no brakes. Yeah, so I'm really going to have to hope that we can get regenerative braking working on the motor, and that should hopefully be enough to slow us down, but I guess we'll certainly find out. First things first, let's take a look at the motor we're going to use. So this is actually designed for hydrofoils, which are kinda like high-speed electric surfboards, and it is unbelievably powerful. The peak power that I'll be running at is 15,000 watts. For reference, a legal e-bike motor over here in Europe is only 250 watts, so it will have the combined power of 60 e-bikes. For another comparison, it's over double the power of a Citroen Ami, and that is because I'll be running it from a big 48 volt battery and with a motor current limit of 300 amps. So yeah, pretty much 15 kilowatts. This motor also spins at 50,000 RPM, which is about 4 times faster than a typical Formula 1 car engine. It's actually insane that we can squeeze so much power out of something that is smaller than a can of Coke, but I guess that's just the magic of brushless motors. However, I do expect that this thing is going to get pretty hot, so I'm definitely going to need to keep an eye on it. Sadly, we can't just connect the brushless motor to a battery and call it a day. We need a thing called an electronic speed controller, or ESC. This converts the DC current from a battery to a 3-phase sinusoidal current, which creates a rotating magnetic field inside the motor, and it's this that pulls around the permanent magnet rotor. That's really oversimplifying, but hopefully you get the idea. The speed controller that I'm using is called a VESC, and it's open source and is really powerful. So I'll use the disposable vape cell e-bike battery that we made in a previous video to give this thing an initial test. Okay, I got it all hooked up to my laptop so we can give it a first test spin. Let's have a look. That is really fast. Bloody hell. It sounds like a dentist drill. And I tell you what, it's already getting pretty hot, so we're certainly going to need to figure out a way that we can cool this thing. Hang on, you might be wondering, why do I need such a ridiculously fast motor? And that is because we have a gearbox that is 22 to 1. And that means if I want to rotate this wheel just once, this gearbox shaft has to spin 22 times. And because I want to go 50 miles an hour on such small wheels, these wheels are going to have to spin really, really fast, which means that needs to spin 22 times faster than this speed. So yeah, I do need a really, really fast motor for this one. And 50,000 RPM here does translate to about 50 miles an hour here. So I guess we'll see. Right, now somehow we're going to have to attach the motor to the gearbox. What I'm thinking is that we'll make a metal plate that will screw onto the motor, and we'll also have 4 holes so that we can bolt it to these points on the gearbox. And to attach the motor shaft to the gearbox shaft, I'm going to use this flexible coupling. I'll quickly whip up something in CAD. Here we go, this is what I'm thinking of making. All we need is this adapter plate to fit onto the front of the motor and these 4 M6 screws to mount it to the gearbox. Now I've made a 3D printed stencil which is going to let me really accurately mark out and drill the holes. This is super important because the motor has to line up perfectly with the gearbox, and if it's slightly off then it'll wear down and damage the motor or the gearbox bearings. Now I could get this thing machined, but I kinda like the challenge of building it just using standard workshop tools. There we go. That is pretty satisfying. Interestingly, the gearbox shaft has this pin going through it, and because of that, our shaft coupling just isn't going to fit on. So I'll cut a nice little groove into it so that the pin can lock it in place. There we go. This thing fits together pretty nicely. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see if this actually works. Hang on. I need some safety goggles for this. Oh my god. Yeah, that definitely works. Hang on, quick PSA before we continue upgrading this thing. So when working on possibly risky projects like these, it's important to use the right protective equipment. But these days, most of the risks aren't from building high-speed mobility scooters, it's from being online, and that is why I've partnered with NordVPN for this video. With just a single click, NordVPN connects you to private, secure networks all around the world, encrypting your traffic, meaning no one can snoop on what you're doing, and allows you to bypass restrictions and censorship. It comes in seriously handy for unlocking content, like accessing other countries' Netflix libraries, for example. I mean, that has been an absolute godsend for me. Ever gone to watch something just to realise it's not available in your country? Well, just turn on the VPN and boom, problem sorted. And another feature that's genuinely really useful is that it protects against phishing scams. So with Threat Protection Pro, they have a massive database of loads of well-known phishing sites, and it'll warn you if you try and access one. And I think this is essential these days, because I don't know about you lot, but I get more phishing links in my emails than I do genuine links. Here we go, I'm at my local Mackey's and I need to hop onto the Wi-Fi. Let's give NordVPN a crack. Public Wi-Fi, more like public risk, but not anymore. Now that I've got the VPN enabled, nobody can intercept passwords, banking details or personal messages. So if you want an awesome deal on NordVPN, if you just go to my link at nordvpn.com/Crystal, you'll get 2 years plus 4 months free, and there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there is absolutely no risk. So where was I? Ah yes, let's take a quick peek inside the gearbox. So this thing looks pretty overkill for a tiny little scooter. I'm quite surprised. It's also a differential gearbox, which basically allows the two wheels to travel at different speeds, which is needed if you turn in sharp corners because the outer wheel is going to spin faster than the other one. So this gearbox originally had grease inside of it, just to lubricate it and keep it working nice and smooth, and that works great for something that moves at a snail's pace, but because we're going to be going much faster than that, the grease will just fling off and the gears will grind themselves to death. So I'm going to add a bunch of this gear oil and turn this thing into a sealed oil gearbox. I'm going to use quite viscous oil because any thin stuff will probably just leak out through the bearings really easily. The bottom piece also has no seal around it, so I've cut out a nice gasket using some rubber sheeting. There we are, nothing should leak out there now. And of course we're going to need a nice base to mount all the electronics on. A nice pinewood board should do the trick. Now if you watched my previous video where we built this battery pack, you'll know that it's only rated for 1500 watts. And we're going to be drawing peaks of 15,000 in this thing. So that is definitely not going to cut it. And that is where this absolute unit comes in. So this is actually a battery module that has been salvaged from a scrapped VW Golf GTE, which is a hybrid electric vehicle. So I think this is a pretty cool way of recycling these things. So the Golf GTE uses 8 of these battery modules in series to make up a big 350 volt battery pack. But each of these modules is only 48 volts, so a single one of these is absolutely perfect to run this scooter. It can also handle bursts of over 400 amps, so it really packs a punch. Well, I guess it should, because these are designed to propel a 1.5 ton vehicle. So this battery pack has got 12 cells in series, and we can actually see them underneath here. And that means that this needs a battery management system, and it does actually have one inside it. But because it's meant to talk to the rest of the vehicle, and I don't have the rest of the vehicle, it's really hard for me to configure it and make sure the battery management system's happy. So what I've done is I've actually bypassed it, I took this top off, and I've wired up my own external battery management system. And yeah, this is just going to monitor all of the cells, make sure they're all happy, and also if I draw too much power, it's going to disconnect the negative side so that I don't blow up the battery or the rest of the mobility scooter. Given that this thing is pretty high power, I'm going to need to add some electrical protection. So here I've got a forklift emergency stop button, which is in case the motor controller fails, short circuits, and then sets on fire. And yes, this has happened to me before. Pressing this thing will be a last resort, because if I press it while moving, then my regenerative braking won't work, and I certainly do not want that while travelling at 50 miles an hour. I've also got a chunky fuse which will hopefully pop before the controller or the battery explodes. Here we go, so we got our positive here and our negative, which now means we can plug it straight into our speed controller. There we are. Alright, we're really close to being able to drive this thing now, but what we do need to do is figure out a way that we can let this throttle control the speed of this thing. So let's have a look what's inside here. This is what's called a potentiometer. Basically, it changes its resistance depending on the position of where this little throttle lever is. And what we need to do is convert the resistance of it to a digital signal that this is going to understand. So what I'm going to use is this little microcontroller here. I'm going to program it to read in the resistance value or a voltage that we can get out from here. And we're going to convert it into the digital signal and feed it straight into there, telling it how much to accelerate or brake depending on what I'm doing. Alright, now I need to blast out some code for the microcontroller. Now the code is actually really simple, let's break it down. So the potentiometer is hooked up such that it forms a potential divider, so it will output a voltage between 0 and 3 volts, and around 1.5 volts should be the center position. We feed this voltage into the analog input pin, which lets the microcontroller read this voltage. When it first boots up, it'll grab this center position so it knows where the neutral is. Then it constantly checks the throttle position, calculates how far you've pushed it from the center, and scales it to minus 100% for braking or plus 100% for acceleration. And then it uses a library to send this value digitally over UART, also known as serial, to the motor controller, which then controls the motor's power. There we go. Just like that, we've got the throttle position. Okay, just got to wire this up, and I'm going to use some old split open USB cable, where these two wires are going to be power from the motor controller, and these two are going to be the serial communications. Right, let's see what this thing can do. My God, that has got a serious kick to it. This thing is way too torquey for these tiny little wheelie bars. I'm definitely going to have to weld on something way bigger. So I've got these big wheels, and I think I'm just going to attach it to some steel bar here and weld it on there, and hopefully it's going to stop this thing from flipping backwards. Certainly not the prettiest weld, but I think that'll hold up.
So if this thing's going to go 50 miles an hour, the last thing I want is to end up as a meat crayon. So I'm going to make sure I use as much protective gear as possible.
Got to dress for the slide, not for the ride. Keeps going faster! This is crazy! Wow. I have no idea whether this video does this thing justice, because it is so unbelievably fast. I just don't know how the wheels and the gearbox and the chassis in general is able to do this. It doesn't make any sense to me. I tell you what, I'm really glad the regenerative braking works well. Oh, the wheelies this thing does. But the problem with it doing wheelies is I can't steer while it's pulling the wheelie.
Wow, yeah, that is so toasty. Right, let's cool this thing down. I think we need to get a proper water cooling setup next time. Much better.
For an electric vehicle though, it's certainly very loud. And I think that's because the gearbox isn't particularly happy. But can we blame it really?
Alright, I think it's time to give this thing the ultimate test. Can it beat a car in a drag race?
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go! Oh, it's neck and neck! Oh, oh here we go! Oh my god! Oh. Alright, I've got some terrible news, but I think we've certainly found the limit for this thing, because the gearbox sounds truly horrific. Oh no. I tell you what, I'm definitely going to get this thing working again though.
Well, this mobility scooter is absolutely terrifying to drive, and you certainly wouldn't want your nan getting on this thing. Leave me some comments on how I should upgrade it next. I'm open to all sorts of ideas. I've bought a bunch of water cooling parts so we can cool the motor next time and seriously put it to the test. Maybe it'll have enough torque to tow a car. I guess we'll see. If you enjoyed watching this, then drop the video a like. It helps out with the old algorithm. And I'll see you in the next one.
I did not mean to do that.